This project was a small part of the Schuylkill Banks Trail and Greenway. The trail had existed up to South Street. We wanted to extend it, and we're going to extend this trail as land and money becomes available.
The Schuylkill River Trail, of course, goes from Valley Forge with ultimately the idea to go to Fort Mifflin.
Even though it is a short section, we really had an opportunity to create something unique and to kind of finish the Center City trail segment in a meaningful way.
But it was difficult. At one point, this was an industrial site here.
We were using old maps, Sanborn maps, and old aerials from the 1800s to try to get a sense of what was here before.
All of that industry left town long ago, and in fact the buildings were mostly demolished.
Tied to the challenges a little bit is, of course, where we sit. We're between the river and between a railroad.
So it was a fairly narrow strip of land that we had, in which we had to build, and building this was complicated and thereby expensive.
The main things we had to think about were the riverbank condition and how we're going to deal with erosion, how we were going to deal with a section that largely didn't have bulkhead. You had parts of the bulkhead falling into the river, literally. You had other parts that were washed out.
So when we got here, this was totally wooded. It was invasive plants, it was a lot of vines, it was a jungle. A lot of the plantings here, as you can see, is sort of a meadow planting, which is, again, more environmentally appropriate. It's good for stormwater management.
We're able to create a buffer, a landscape buffer that helps with runoff and catching pollutants before they reach the river. It's helped to stabilize our riverfront.
When we first started to look at this property, there was a building here that was a tank factory. It was a factory building. But at some point, Children's Hospital bought it, but they also greatly wanted to connect to the Schuylkill River Trail. So they designed and funded this footbridge that comes over here and connects down to the trail, which gives us another wonderful access point.
One of the things that we very much had in mind as we were developing this building was how do we be a good neighbor to this surrounding community? And so the idea of a bridge to connect to the trail, our thinking about it was not just for our staff, but for our neighbors as well.
We are building a trail and a greenway in neighborhoods that are traditionally underserved by open space. They will then have the quickest route from their neighborhood into Center City, which is where the culture is, where the theater is, where the restaurant is, where the jobs are. And they can get there by walking up the trail, riding a bike up the trail, and if you're on a bike, that's your fastest way from getting from Southwest Philadelphia to Center City, and it's low cost or no cost commute. So reclaiming it like this is a great success.